Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life. I'm here today with Maureen Weisner out of Andover. Maureen is an executive coach. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
Her website is kickstartyourtransition.com, and specialty is focusing on career transitioning, but is a specialist in life. Maureen was our inaugural speaker at Confident Women Consortium, where her talk was getting out of the habit of being yourself.
Yes.
And that's where we're going to start today. What did that title mean to you? Where did you come up with that?
Well, I think we've become very complacent oftentimes with routine and how to do things, and that's the only way to do it. And so sometimes the obstacles that are most challenging are also the least obvious. And we think, I have to climb the mountain. And what I've said to clients often is, it's the pebbles in your shoe that'll kill you first. So that stops progress more easily and more completely than looking ahead at a larger goal.
What are some of the clients, the types of clients that come to you?
Well, I think clients range anywhere from selling a business and having a non-compete as part of their contractual agreement, which means they're unable to do the same kinds of work for X amount of time, typically a year. So a client may come and say, I don't want to play the guitar for a year, and I also don't want to manage people right now because that's really what took me out of the pleasure of doing the business that I was doing. So what are some other things that I can do? And our purpose is not to have a dartboard and say we have a bullseye that you can hit, and we know what you're good at. Let's talk about what you enjoy, what you like most, what you like least. Everyone knows what they hate, but when you ask them, what do you really love? Make a list of 3 things that you really love, and even if it's not something that you're doing right now, something that you might have done previously, something that you might have done as a kid, whether it was riding a bike, whether it was cooking, whether it's something around food. And I think we talked a little bit about this before. For one client in particular, she said, riding a bike as a young person gave me freedom that I never thought I could achieve. I was independent of my family. I liked the sensation of the air in my hair and the breeze on my body, and I also felt very strong. So for a young person to have that feeling and knowing that they can take that forward and bring that now into that space where you're not tied down by the obligations of being someplace at a particular hour, managing people, delivering receivables, and creating and maintaining a business where you're employing people. So there are concerns about salaries, about overhead, about all of those pieces. So for that person, we kind of create, let's have some fun, and then let's look at more long term. What do you think? How do you see yourself in the future? And we recommend a 1-year plan versus these very vague 5-year plans, because 5-year plans, that's sort of, I'll write the book when, I'll open the business when, I'll see Antarctica or all 7 continents. That's always been a dream. So, let's get something constructive, let's get something real, and let's figure out how to get to that place. So that's one part of the kinds of clients that come to us. But the other part is women in particular who have been in long-term relationships, perhaps being the primary caregiver, and now find that they are in a different situation and they either need to ramp up the skills that they had or say, that wasn't something that I ever liked to do to begin with. I was pushed into this as a major in college. I am an attorney, but I'm not practicing. What else can I do? So we look at a larger picture. You have X number of years going forward. Do we want to chunk this in 5-year increments? Do we want to think of second, third, 4th stage of what you're going to be doing? Is it something about giving back? How do you want to incorporate the skills and interests that you have in a life that you find more fulfilling, professionally and personally?
And a lot of people come to see me as a coach for them and focusing on things like weight loss or generally nutrition, medical kind of reason, the initial reason. And I often get to very soon get to the realization that it's nothing to do with food, that they're missing something in their life. Do you ever have people come to you who are just having health issues, but it's not about the food. It's about something not complete or fulfilled.
It's a good point. I think particularly when we have clients who are high-performing professionals who are in transition because they've gotten feedback in their work environment that they're not functioning at the best level, or their staff. It's called a 360. So that's something that most organizations will use if a professional is having some difficulty with staff.
Can you define what that is?
So it's really 360 degrees. So they'll take a complete look at how your personal communication skills land with people. So the feedback to you is going to be anonymous. You won't know that these are particularly subordinates, but overall the information that comes back is that your communication skills are really lacking, or you're not leading your teams in the most effective manner. What are some places where there are gaps? And it's very hard for somebody to hear. And in fact, we had one client who said, well, ask my wife, I'm not like that at all. And the reality is that, well, yes, there's spillover in your personal and professional life. So the health aspect of this, if I'm frustrated at home or I'm having difficulties in personal relationships, there's going to be a spillover in your professional life. So how can we help people look more intimately, if you will, at how the integration of their work and personal lives happen? They're not so segmented. And the health part is very important. If you don't sleep enough, if you don't eat nutritionally, if you're eating on the run, if you don't plan, if you ultimately have weight problems or other medical problems that may be masked with medication without a real focus on how I can have a whole life that's more integrated than I'm here and now I'm here and I have to turn that off and I can't be that person. So it's complicated for a lot of people, and they don't have permission or an opportunity, they think, to make time for those things. So I will say to clients, okay, 5 a.m. is not your best time. Okay, that's fine. I might go to the gym at 9 p.m. My gym would close at 10. I'll grab an hour. So we look at that and say, okay, if you're a Starbucks drinker and your Starbucks was shut down for we don't know what reason, what would you do? Would you not drink coffee if coffee is your thing? Well, no, I wouldn't do that. I'd find another place to get coffee. Would it change my schedule? Yes. But how can I fit in even 15 minutes of meditation? And I'm sure, Joyce, when you work with clients, it's about, let's see what's happening. Where do I need to get grounded? What are my anchors? What's healthy? And where have I been selling myself short? Mm-hmm. What am I missing in my life? Can I take some time and really reconfigure and grab pieces so that I can find some private space, so that I can eat more nutritionally, so that I can perhaps cook, or I can combine a trip to the grocery store and get some guidance about better ways to eat, or use your resources, which are tremendous in terms of guiding people around best choices. How can I eat nutritionally and quickly? How can I get more sleep? What am I telling myself? Do I need to be online at night? How important is Facebook, really?
I often find that dealing first with the whatever that burning passion is inside of you I think that has to come first with many people before they can address their health. Like, they'll come to me for health reasons, but I often feel like until they figure out how to not work 3 jobs, why they need 3 jobs, or that job that they just got the 360 from gave them information that shed some light, until they deal with that piece of it, they just don't have time, or the stress management can't happen because they're stuck in that kind of a...
Sure. Well, it's a hamster wheel, and I think the story that most people have been told is that you can achieve work-life balance. And what I will say to most clients is, you can have it all, but not at the same time. So if we look at work-life integration more than work-life balance, if you imagine that you're on a seesaw, it's very troubling to think, well, where am I? How can I look for this? Well, it's okay to be here. It's okay. and it's okay to be here too. And sometimes we're okay here, but if we're just struggling all the time to get here, it's very hard to accept that some days it's going to be flat out work, some days it's going to be family, devoted to family time and personal time, and how can I carve that out so that I can have a healthier, more integrated life? And I think that the demands in the culture right now tell us that we need more stuff, that we need to dedicate more time, that we need to be more than we are, and that if we're not, then that means we're less. And that's a dangerous message because we can never achieve somebody else's what's best for us. So when you work with clients and you think about, how can I help this person really do, when you think about your cell phone and you're taking a selfie, but not in a way that you're worried about the background as much as who am I really looking at here? And how can I really take a chance and an opportunity to see who I am? And is this the person that I really like right now? Is this the person who's delivering to myself or to the people in my world who are important? Whether I have pets, whether I have neighbors, am I a whole person right now? And how can I take those puzzle pieces and bring it back into a configuration that maybe the first week of the month is easier to kind of juggle, and maybe week 3 not so easy. So what is it? We're not cementing those pieces together. If we can think about and be a little more compassionate and more patient with ourselves about goal achievement, because again, that's the same thing. How can I reach this goal? Okay, well, some people are on a different path. Nothing is in stone. The best paths are in sand, so that we can go left, we can go right. You can smell the flowers a little bit and say, that's interesting. No, that's not interesting. Or I tried it, I'm curious. And being curious, and we talked a little bit about this at your meeting, being curious and being passionate are gifts. They are gifts. And if we can accept our curiosity and we can run with that, how marvelous an experience that is.
One of the things, you had given me a list of potential topics for talks, and I jotted them down because I love the way your mind just goes to, so that what you were just saying made me think of dream big, focus small. What do you mean when you hear, comes to mind when you hear that? Dream big, focus small.
Dreams are, unless we have a way to get to the dream, it's just conversation. And oftentimes when we express a dream to someone, reactions can vary of support or jealousy or across the board. So the exciting part about dreams is that when we sort of scratch at it or discover something that's kind of interesting and we think, maybe, I don't know, could I possibly run my own fill in the blanks, or could I really visit all 7 continents even though I don't have a budget to do that? Once we get into the place of making those they're particles, putting the particles in place, it kills the dream before we even get to the dream. So while it's important to have steps that can help us get there and also encourage other people to help us in finding our path, we can get bogged down in the details too quickly to say, I can't do that. Mount Kilimanjaro, I may have asthma, or I may have some medical issue, or I can't take that much time, or who has the time to train for that, and so forth. And let's say, well, what is it about Mount Kilimanjaro, and how can we take that to, I don't know, someplace that's perhaps a little bit closer. Let's say, instead of kicking the dream to the curb, let's say, okay, let's have this tremendous dream, and what are some ways that you might get there without being so specific that you're overwhelmed by all the details. So you might start hiking in New Hampshire, or you might start with a day trip somewhere else, or you might start with a shorter flight to someplace on the West Coast. You might go to a national park, start rock climbing, take a class. There are lots of ways to introduce you to this other big scary place. And we all need to have a big scary where it's exciting, it's titillating, and you're like, I don't know if I want to share this. I don't know if I'm ready to share this. It's not fully formed. It's sort of like the easy bake oven when we were kids, where you say, I don't know. This is kind of the dough. This is the formation, but I don't know if this is going to be what I like. And then, maybe it's a little crooked. Maybe I can put more icing on one side. Maybe I can make it work. And it's also engaging other people, allies, in getting you to this place. So if you told me your dream was fill in the blanks, I'd say, okay, let me think about resources that I might have, whether I belong to a ski club or whether I have an opportunity to connect you with somebody who's a rock climber or somebody who travels a great deal or who lectures. Maybe you could take a cruise and you could be somebody who, is one of the speakers, so that's a way to get to, maybe it's Antarctica, maybe it's India, maybe it's, I don't know. Do you want to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange? What does that take? What business do you need to find? And that's the exciting part of, let's deal the cards out, pick one, and let's go from there.
Do you have a big scary dream?
Oh, I have so many big scary dreams. I love it. I revisit the dreams, and so whether it's speaking in a particular venue or doing more traveling or writing more, it's what I have learned is that my big scary dreams, and sometimes the ones that you will say out loud, for some people that's a way of really getting closer to it. You're inching closer to it because it sounds like it's a possibility based on the reaction that the person you're sharing this with may be, oh, that's so exciting, I love it, or, I'm not sure. And we talked a little bit about this, the balloon poppers in your world who may not be on board with your dream, and that's okay. But if your dream is still in that infancy space, to share it is it doesn't mean that it's done, it doesn't mean that you've achieved it, and it doesn't mean that you can kick it to the curb either, but just kind of stay on board. And maybe the dream that you started with evolves into something entirely else. And that's exciting too. Yeah. So it's about not judging, it's about moving forward and making sure that your activities are going to point you in that direction. Because it's too easy to say, that's my big dream, it's very scary, so I'll do this instead. Or, I don't know if I can, who else has done it? Well, part of that is finding somebody else who may have done that thing that you like to do and ask them what their path was. Maybe there are ways that they can help you and be a resource.
So do you have dreams that multiple dreams that you
yes.
Oh,
yes. Multiple dreams are great. They're great. And so you can revisit, and then you can say, okay, I'll work a little bit on this today, and then I'll carve out that time tomorrow to get a little bit closer to that, or I'll continue. But I like to schedule. I like to add things to my day so that, because as we know, time flies. It evaporates. Yeah. And before you know it, it's gone. And so, I don't want to look back in a year and say, what was it that I was thinking last year? And, oh, yeah, it's that big thing that it makes me nervous and I don't want to do it, but I don't know how I cannot do it, so what's another way to do it? And then a month evaporates, and a week evaporates, and a day. Every day is a gift. Yeah. Every day is a gift, and if we can carve just 15 minutes out of every day to dedicate it to some activity, something that will get you closer to your dream, your goal, your passion, find out that you're the ice skating champ here. So this is from your experience working with young people and coaching young people, and how do we help them feel good about failing? How do we help them feel good about recovery? And again, it's that path to fail fast, recover more quickly.
So I have a dream, a big
Talk
scary
to me.
dream.
What?
I think I'd like to write a book sometime.
Okay.
So it's very scary to me because who would want to listen to what I have to say?
Fair enough. Don't know.
So
but it's your your voice and your choice.
Yeah.
And how can you get there? And I can tell you right off the bat, I know somebody who's fabulous, who works with individuals who want to write their books. And there's actually a meeting that I can.
Great.
It's December 4th.
Yeah.
So you'll come with me.
Yeah.
You'll come with me. It's women authors, and there's a panel discussion.
I'd like to hear more about what's involved in it, but I have a few ideas, and at the very least, I'll have written it down.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. I mean, if you have a panel and you have women who have been across the board, who have already published, people who have been in the publishing business, women who are coaches of other women, and this is Boston Women Connect, and it's a great group, and I think that that's a real opportunity. So December 4th in Waltham.
Okay.
We'll go.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Another thing I wanted to ask you about. This kind of ties in. Oh, there's so many things. Slow down to the speed of life.
Slow down. Slow down. We're always in a rush.
This is how I teach hockey, by the way.
How?
Slowing down. The reason I think I'm more skilled at it than some people that have played at a high level, because as you know, I didn't start till my late 40s. Because I still remember what it's like to learn it. And so in order for me to get the form right and to do it correctly and be the most powerful skater, I really have to slow down. So when you look at my practices, they look very slow.
And what's the response?
Well, they get the form right, so they accelerate much more quickly. They learn the skill much more quickly because they practice it right from the very beginning. It's another reason why I like having older students. Like often kids start when they're 3 or 4, but when you start when you're 10 or 11, you're more developed, intellectually and learning styles, and things are just more things in place to be able to focus with intention.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I've heard that hockey in particular for boys, it's a different time than for young girls, that girls can start later. And something that I will tell my clients is you're never too old and it's never too late. So how willing are you to be a newbie at something? How willing are you to fail and maybe fail publicly? And we talked a lot about this, and it's fail quickly. This may not be the business, it may not be the skill, and recover as quickly. I mean, so there's this part about speed and fast when it comes to recognizing I'm okay, so fall down now and you can get up and you're going to be great.
So how does this tie to the speed of life, that phrase that you used?
The speed of life right now is very rapid for most people. It's and then turn around and what happened to the year, what happened to the month, what happened to the decade, and too often we look back and say, I can remember what my first grade teacher said to me on a given day, but I don't remember last week because it's in a flurry, because our schedules are such that they're jam-packed with things that have to be done, to-do lists that are an arm's length. And I'll encourage clients to take a to-do list at the end of the day and shred it, and make a three-bullet to-do list for the day. What's your
as a method for us to slow down?
As a method to slow down, because when you look at 20 things that have to be done, realistically, are you going to write a book and do your tax returns and go to the grocery store? Do they need to be in the same
Every
place?
day's a failure.
Every day's a failure. Every day's a failure. How can you possibly feel good about accomplishment? And let's just slow this down. It's possible to. You need those long-term goals. That the house needs to be painted, or those other things need to be done. I have to find a new office space. All of those things reasonably need to be done. But if you continue to look at it day to day, it just makes you feel less rather than more. So if we can really, 3 bullets. 3 is a great number.
Yeah,
3 is a great number.
I learned that from you.
Yeah, there we go. And if we think in bullets, and if we think, how can I slow down my breathing? How can I slow down? Why am I rushing to the stop sign? Why am I tapping my foot? Why am I impatient? Is this going to get me there more quickly? Or, as one client said, the fact that I was in traffic kept me from being in that horrible accident that was 2 miles forward. So it's hard to say I'm stuck, how do I get out of this hole? And little how do you eat an elephant? One spoonful at a time. It's what is this space, and it's making me uncomfortable, and I'm afraid of being criticized, I'm afraid of being judged, I'm afraid in my office space, in my professional space, that I'm not keeping up a tempo that other people are keeping up. But a lot of that is a facade, and a lot of that is just it's a lot of energy that is dissipated in ways that don't move us forward. So in a more healthy environment, can you grab a walk around the block? And when people say, park your car farther from the building, or take the stairs in front instead of the elevator, if we can't slow our minds down and our hearts down and our pace down just a little bit every day, we end up on that hamster wheel. And that's a dangerous place to be for all of the health reasons that you talk about, whether it's weight, whether it is depression, anxiety, all of the pieces where you say, I'm going to take a break from this story, and guess what, I can rewrite the story. When you think about going to the library, you say, if people still go to the library or a bookstore, if they still go to a bookstore, or the Amazon actually has a brick and mortar store now too, which is very funny. But you can put that book back. You don't have to continue reading it. You don't have to say, this is the only path that I have to take. There are other ways that I can structure my life. And what's one thing that I can integrate now, one thing I can introduce that's a little bit different, that's going to make me feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. If we feel comfortable every day, growth is not happening. Growth needs to happen in ways that I don't need, I don't need to look for my toothbrush in the morning. I really need to know where that is. But I also need to know that I'm capable of making change, that I'm capable of trying something new, that it's okay. And guess what? No one else is really looking. Unless you're playing tennis together and you have to be a compatible level of skill in order to make this a successful outing. It's okay. Take lessons, learn something, try something new, and really breathing. How do you work with clients around that? How do you help clients slow down? Breathing, posture, notice where your head is. Are you in the moment? Oftentimes I'll say to clients, where are you right now? Talk to me, where are you right now? And they'll say, well, I'm here. No, really, where are you? Are you present? Are you here? Or are you thinking about what you didn't do earlier today, or what your to-do list is for later? But let's say you're going to be here for an hour or a half hour or whatever the time is. Let's just focus on this time together, and let's make that achievable in a way that you get out of it what you hoped to, and that you can focus on how this is going to help you move forward and enjoy it. It's like it's a hug.
Yeah,
it's a hug. Taking care of ourselves is really important before we can take care of other people.
And speaking of that, we have about 2 minutes left, so I wanted to save this time to ask you what I ask all my guests. What top 3 things does it take for you, Maureen, to be totally well?
To be totally well, I need to slow down. I need to make a conscious effort every day to look at what my day looks like, to plan in a way that supports me, to understand that some things will be more stressful than others. I'm not, Penelope thinking, a Pollyanna-esque kind of life is just unicorns and rainbows every day. It's not. Realistically, it's not. There are challenges. So I need to look at my day beforehand, and I need to pace that. I always need to have exercise in my day. And I hope that I can add healthy, balanced nutrition and support the relationships that I'm in. Make sure that I contact people who are important to me, that it's not just driven by business or I've got to call that person because I haven't spoken to that person. What 5 minutes is going to make a difference for somebody else and for me to connect personally in a way, whether it's the cashier at the supermarket, whether it's somebody where I'm getting my coffee. How can I have a personal connection? Comment on somebody else's looking great or saying something that's wonderful and creative. But I need to take care of myself. I need to make sure that the people around me are taken care of as well as they can be, that they're okay. And again, the exercise piece is really important for me.
What do you do for exercise?
I go to the gym.
Yeah. So you lift weights?
I'm a gym rat. I do. I lift weights, and I'd been sidebarred because I had knee surgery, and so this has been very hard for me. So I'm on to month 4, and I'm finding that just in the last 2 days, I was able to walk up the stairs without support. And it's almost like looking at a child who is usually one step at a time. And I had to reflect back on that and said, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful today for the fact that I can see a change. I can see an improvement. And I was despairing at a point where I didn't see that this was going to be an improvement. And I didn't have a choice in doing this. It was not an optional surgery. So those are the kinds of things. Being gratitude is really important every day, to take stock and say, well, how fortunate am I? How very lucky am I? And what are things I'd like to improve on today?
Well, that's beautiful stuff. And we're about out of time, so I want to thank you for visiting today and
thank you, Joyce.
Sharing your wisdom. And again, it's Maureen Weisner from kickstartyourtransition.com. How can people reach out to you? Are you on Twitter, Facebook?
I'm on Twitter, and there's a blog and our website
and LinkedIn?
Phone contact, LinkedIn. Yes.
Yeah.
So every social media. I'm not on Instagram, but that's something we have to think about.
Another big hairy dream.
The big hairy dream and the big hairy dreams. Yes. Thank you, Joyce. Thanks for including me.
Yeah. Thank you.